Right then, while I'm in the filter shed, just going to do a quick filter clean of the Nexus 220. I know everyone's done this 100 million times, but let's just show you how I do it. So like you say, my pond's 1800 gallon, 8,000 litres. Cottony Koi bottom drain, converted to 3-inch, I'll show you that again at some point. Into a Nexus 220. So we'll crank the pump off. Now what I actually did with mine is actually stuck a rubber on the overflow, so I can get the height to come higher in the middle, so I can boil the Nexus a bit better. So we'll shove the middle pipe in, we'll wait for that to come up as high as it can, crank off the bottom drain. Now I run a Fuji Mac 100 on my pond, and I don't care what anyone says, it's got to be the best make of air pump ever in the world. Save your money up, buy a Fuji Mac, you will not regret it, they are amazing. That's a Fuji Mac 100, so that's powering the outer ring of my Nexus. So that's actually, now I've stuck a rubber on mine, I can get it to come up a lot higher. That's actually a little bit too high, because what you have to watch is that the inner doesn't bubble out to the outer. So I've had an Nexus now, I had an Easy Pod before, and I think, to be fair, I think a lot of people don't appreciate how quite sensitive they can be to set up. These middle sections can be quite sensitive. You've got obviously the style where people put tape around the inner bit, you've got to mess around with how much media, because personally I think that a Nexus out the box with the standard amount of K1 in the middle doesn't do the job as good as it could. Yes, it does do a good job, but you can do it much, much better with doing a few modifications. So one you can do, really simple, that's a 3-inch, I don't know what it is, I think it was an old 3-inch 90 that I've chopped off, so that we can get the inner bit, when we've turned the bottom valve off, we can get the middle to rise higher. Now that's actually a little bit too high, so we're just going to empty the middle out a little bit. So we get it to just go below that lip there. Because that means then, the way that I have mine set is you want to get the water level in your Nexus the same as the bottom of the plastic lid. Then we'll crank the valves, let it do its thing. So yeah, like I was saying, these Nexuses are a brilliant, brilliant filter. But I think out the box standard with the 18 litres of K1 micro, what a lot of people can find is they get a lot of fine issues. You can see with my pond, I know I've got a light on and it's enclosed, so it's a little bit of a different scenario to most people. But literally all I run is a Nexus. And I don't think you can, that's pretty damn good water clarity there. But like I was saying, straight out the box, I don't think these Nexus inners with 18 litres of K1 micro are good enough. Because what you'll find is that this, obviously the inner bit actually sits on a spigot that comes up. Now that spigot, you can actually move the middle part of your Nexus, your inner section, probably about that much, give or take. You can push it down, or when you just first sit it on, you'll sit it on, but then you can actually push it down 2 or 3 inches. Now that can play a massive difference to your slots on the inside. Because if you've only got 18 litres of K1 micro, the micro will want to float all the time until it gets very mature, but even still then, even when it's mature, it's still going to want to float. So what you end up doing, and what a lot of Nexus owners, I don't think they realise this is what actually happened. The only reason I came across this very early on, because, well, I'm an engineer by trade, so I'm trying to fix everything better than it should be, is if you only run 18 litres of micro and you have this quite highly set and not pushed down far enough, you actually get a gap underneath the media and the bottom of the slits of that inner section of the easy. And I think that's where a lot of people come unstuck. So we'll just drop that now. And I'll show you what I mean. So I run a full bag of 25 litres of K1 micro in my middle, but I have got a 100 litre air pump boiler in it. But like I'll show you what can happen. See, I've got 25 litres in there, which is very, very full. But what can happen, if you're only running 18 litres and this isn't set down low enough in the Nexus, what you'll actually get is you see down there, at the bottom of those slits inside, you'll actually get a gap. And the water, you can literally physically see the water and fine particles coming up through the gap, and fine particles bypassing and going into your outer chamber of your Nexus. And that's where I think a lot of the issues are. But don't get me wrong, it's not the be all and end all of a Nexus. You won't fix every problem by adding more media. Sometimes you can cause more problems, because if you haven't got a big enough air pump to boil your media, you can get a lot of muck building up in the bottom there, in the inner section, and causing you a lot of problems. So if you do run more media than standard in your Nexus, you need a bloody good air pump to boil it, because you've got the same volume of water in there, but you need more action to boil the media. And two, every now and again you need to get your hand in there and give it a good swash around and a clean, because you think you boiled your Nexus really good, and you put your hand in there and swash it around, and you'll be amazed at the crap that comes out. So yeah, the next part, as you can see down there, it's a bit rubbish for the light, but as you can see just in here, you get a lot of solids build up when you boil your Nexus, which it is. It's a vortex with an inner chamber. It's doing a good job. So the next part that I do, after I boiled it, that valve's still open, I lift that tube out again, which pulls water from the outer section into the inner. It sort of cleans a bit of crap off the media still. You're never going to be boiling it twice, but winter now I just boil it once. And it just gets rid of all those solids that are still down in the middle, down in there. So once that's done and that's gone, I normally give the bottom drain a bit of a purge. Give it a quick plug. Still got that valve open for the waste. Shut that back off again. Yeah, it just gives the old back bit a bit of a wash. So once all that's gone, it's looking nice and clean. Shut the waste valve. Switch over the air. And open that up and leave it go. Now I run an auto top up on my Nexus, and that is literally a toilet valve out of a cistern of toilet. You just have to get the setting right, and then that does an auto top up through 2 3-stage chlorinators. And Bob's your on. So like you see, we've just pulled the purge or sorry, pull the bottom drain valve on that and just let that swirl and flush. And that is what is still in the pipe. Give or take that, you know, I haven't got a very big run, and that's only got one swept 90, 3-inch swept 90 under there, and it's probably only, what, 3 metre run maybe, 3.5 metre run to the bottom drain, in 3-inch pipe work, one swept 90 up into the Nexus, and that's the sort of the purge you get from an empty Nexus, and that's what's basically sitting in the pipe. I don't think anything beats, even fitting a purge valve, I don't think anything beats giving the old bottom drain a good rod. You put the jetter down there, yes, the 3-inch is better, I don't care what anyone says. It's worth paying the money for the 3-inch over a 4-inch running low flow rates, because even when I rod the drain on this, there's hardly anything that comes out. There is literally hardly anything. So yeah, simple as that. Pull that out, stick it back down there, bottom drain's open, that's shut now, all good to go, set the pump off. The only thing you have to do every now and again, because that's only been boiled once, it hasn't dropped the water level much, give that a wiggle, and that'll set the auto top off. There we go guys, that's how I clean my Nexus 220.